Help support the Truth Cartel. Support in the moment. Super Chats. Support monthly through Patreon. Support with music. Support with merch. Click the links in the description.
One day Jesus coming back real soon. Take a look what my Jesus been through. He died for mankind, although we been cruel. Got a chance to repent, won't let it slip through. I got a dog out for Jesus like I'm his sister. When we preaching the gospel, we preach it true. Trying to give it to an atheist, a Muslim, or a Jew, yeah. Gotta give the Lord's word and give it right, cause he's coming back one day like a thief in the night. Be ready, so hold on to God and keep your faith steady.
This Doomer made another one. I call this one an EOX's. Red rose, white ceiling. These EOs out here just keep sinning. Packed up and left, we ain't kidding. All of it dedicated to hurt feelings. Drama brewed up like a toddler's tantrum. You down with the TC, now I can't stand them. When it came to doctrine or prize traditions, didn't matter what we believe. We ain't Christians, so y'all poppin' just to y'all to say I just woke up. Yeah, we saw that all day, that woke line spent. Don't worry about it though, you may have time to repent, and even more time to grow. Yeah. Don't wanna talk doctrine, I just woke up. We can pray but you ain't saved, man. I just woke up. You can't even talk to Marla, I just woke up. Wait, did you just call me modalist? I just woke up. You can't ban me because I quit. You can't ban me because I quit. You ain't EO, you ain't EO, you ain't EO. I quit. I quit. Red rose faded, white ceiling caving. These boys claiming enlightenment with no priest in sight. It's just a lack of permission because their tradition ain't right. Bro, just whine in silence cause that's all you can do. When you cross the TC, you end up crossing the whole crew. Tradition states that we can't pray together or sing one song. Can't even say amens if the vibe feels wrong.
Hey, yo, mother, this Doomer made another one. Red rose, white ceiling. It's cool. I ain't gonna like this. Yeah. They call it a corner meal. Everybody mad. Yeah. I said a corner meal. Everybody mad. Yeah. Same old yo from the block. They say they in the heart, but they not. They saying in my circle just to die. Everybody hated on him, then he came back with a problem. I done spent a whole lot of time with the fathers. Doubling my prayers cause my church ain't making sense. I've been in my parents playing with the incense. When they all fell off the boat, yeah, I'm talking about the fence. I know it's a whole lot of folks that was hating. I know it's a whole lot of comforts I was faking. So I shut them folks up, icons feeling nuts. Always knew that I was gifted, so I had to stay patient. Taking over land, brother, tell me what's the bid. I heard you still so low, tell me what it is. You ain't keep the fast, buying no books, reading no saints, they ain't let a brother live. All I see is vigilance, candles, hunters. If it ain't full theosis, bump the vibe, I don't want it. About to make these folks sick. They call it a corner meal. Everybody mad. I said a corner meal. Everybody mad. Yeah. Same old EO from the block. They say they in the heart, but they not.
My check 1212, which ain't hard to do. Can you hear me?
She was rapping squad, now she wanna give it up. Fast life JC, I'ma live it up. But my ex-girl tryna make me jealous, saying that I'm moving worse. She don't know she out the church. I got me a deal, but I'm still in the name. Heard a couple folks talking like the guy big. They forgot that Jesus prayed with the Combaskini on the side. Man, I swear that these folks are so sweet. I got all this grace from the church on my mind.
And the plot thickens. Alright, chat. Gotta get into some real truth stuff today. Let the Holy Spirit move.
All I know is Greece, Fly, A-Rad. EO from the diet, can't better pay the tab. Mother call me back. Let tradition feel like sad.
I think we live because there's a little bit of that frosty mug I got going on because it's still another sunny day in California with summer in full swing as we, I guess, exit. I told somebody today the greatest holiday for Americans, I would say second to Christmas, is the 4th of July. And boy, was it a good one. I hope, chat, you had a good time with your beloveds, your family, your friends, as we celebrated the 250 years of this experiment. And now apparently there's an EO Psyop that's going to try to destroy what Western civilization did. I don't have any solutions, but I just know West bad, EO good. Today, we're going to hear some real doozy whoppers of history and, more importantly, the secret sauce. So we're going to start off with Andrew Wilson. We're going to talk a little bit about the Charlie Kirk preliminary hearing for Tyler Robinson. And then we're going to side into a little bit of Jay Dyer's philosophy and how he sees the world. And boy, does he have a bunch of secrets that he's learned over the 30 years of him switching to 5 different religions and 5 different political views. Maybe if we give it 5 more years, he might actually come back to be a Catholic, I don't know, a Buddhist. Who knows? But if this is your first time here, then you're in for a treat. This will be a doozy. So like and share this, the Cartel of Truth, and I'm your host, Amal, the unapologetic apologist, the unequivocating evangelist, the poignant pundit, the uncancelable conservative. And why can't I be canceled? Well, because in the end, if you try to cancel me, I'm going to report you as a racist bigot, because if you disagree with me, I'm a dumb Mexican. So as one of Jay Dyer's famous followers said, why don't you just pull up and destroy him? So just do that. I'm going to go ahead and paste this here. If you disagree with me, you can go ahead and pull up and destroy me. Just have a conversation and we can go ahead and agree to disagree even in the end, but you can have your chance to destroy whatever it is I'm saying, how stupid it is. Because I think that that's what we should do. We should open up the dialogue, open up the channels of conversation, and let's talk. So more than anything, I want to tell you guys that what's happening is an operation that I think is kind of disorganized. I told you last time when I was talking about David Wood and the reason they were trying to discredit or call all of Christians that are non-EOs grifters and all that stuff. Well, they continued with it. In fact, we're going to watch a video today where not only did Jay Dyer retire from being basically the Ruslan, as I call it, the Ruslan business model. So he tried to go out. He tried to fake retire and pretend it was a fake move. But we know what happened is Jay Dyer went out and tried for like a week or so to see if he could make money or revenue interviewing other people. But that joint fell apart quick. So he was forced to stop that and go back to the only thing that he knows, which is to go online and try to troll people and call them grifters. But of course, he does that to people with bigger platforms. So the mistake that he made when he got us all riled up, remember, this was me and JP with a couple thousand views, right? He got us into the mix by saying our name when he should have just stuck to the big boys. And then what ended up happening is this whole war popped off, and now we're figuring out more things. For instance, chat, you're going to be very, very surprised to hear that apparently Andrew Wilson served in the military? Or did he? Did he or did he not? So the mistake they made was saying our name or trying to act as though we were going to bow down to all these people going, debate me, bro. Then we actually say, let's debate and let's go one for one. Let's have a conversation. Andrew Wilson pulls up, gets destroyed not once, but twice. And then now says, oh, Mueller forced me into that convo. So you saw the bully got punched in the mouth. Now the bully wants to retreat to their same tactics. Jay Dyer wants to pull up and do a live where all he does is yap and does his weak impressions. So he didn't make it as with the Ruslan business plan. So Ruslan should hit him up and actually tell him what he's missing. And then he missed out being a comedian and an actor because apparently that was part of it. Then at one early point, he was like a musician dude or promoting. I don't know what it was. They sent me a video of him back in the day. And so all of these things, because he needs to do them for money, just don't work. And there's only one thing that pays, and that's for him to go, you're low tier. You're low tier and you're low IQ. If that's what you say to people, then you should just be able to pull them up, pull up to their live streams. Like at least Andrew Wilson, I give him credit. He pulls up to Weirdos live streams and he tries to engage them and smack them around. This guy doesn't do that. He puts his boomer phone in front of a mic and then goes, and then cancels you as soon as you start to engage and ask a question, ask him to be consistent. So we're going to start off with Andrew Wilson. I'm going to cover a little bit of the Charlie Kirk trial, and I'll tell you how it all ties in. And then in the end, we're going to figure out exactly what Jay Dyer has up his sleeve, which is pretty much the old game plan. But the reason you need to know what this is all about and why it's important to you is because I told you, evangelicals, Protestants are the crown jewel. If they can get and direct this path, direct the rudder of this giant ship, which is the most powerful group in the world. Why? Because we're the most powerful voting bloc in the most powerful nation on earth, and therefore we have the most power. If you can get in and psyop them, then you can control which way the ship goes. And so some, these, as they would say, these low tier doomers, they ended up biting this script that they had. A couple of dudes online who, flame or talk to, looks like anything from OnlyFans models to, blue-haired LGs, to, low-end Protestants in a controlled boomer phone environment. They can get away with a lot. But now it's all falling apart. We put this all together politically in the landscape where people who, even if you voted for Trump or most evangelicals did, that now you want your money back in certain areas, we're glad that Kamala didn't win, but at the same time, we're asking a bunch of questions. All this ties together. Why does it all tie together? Because what I've told you from the very beginning, and listen to me, I'm going to say it to you again. Politics permeates every aspect of your life. You cannot get rid of it. You try to dodge it. You try to move around it. You try to act like, it's not important. It's only important during presidential years. No. It's literally, it's a war. And they figure they can control you. They can get you to doubt your faith or even think that Protestantism is now the reason that there's people sinning in the world. This is how moronic these guys are, is they try to now spin a yarn to go, see, you Protestants, you guys created some of the worst sinners in history. They just back up history and look at how barbaric and literally how dysfunctional, how Sodom and Gomorrah-ish it was. And those years were beautiful. Serfdom. We were just great when we were underneath a king. And that king, he threw some bread and we were good, but we weren't sinning. Not like you Americans. This is what these morons would have you believe. Chat, it's time to wake up. If we mobilize and just the way we did when we voted for Trump and we said, yo, Trump, you're going to actually do what you said, right? And then he pulls up and goes, well, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to show you how it all ties together. So don't you worry. Don't you worry. Just sit back and relax, because all of this is going to make sense. But you have to be able to, at least in this conversation, is take some notes as to how they're working us. How they worked us, how they're still trying to work us today. So let's get it cracking. Let's start with Andrew Wilson, who apparently served in the military, but now people are saying he didn't. He lied, stolen valor. Check it out. So watch this. Apparently, many people are now putting together clips and really, really finding out who these guys are. As they said, they were low under the radar. They were making some good points, but they probably should have stayed there. In other words, they shouldn't have made a big stink. They shouldn't have drew attention, because now you have everybody reviewing all of their clips all the time. And they're finding not only just inconsistencies, but flat out lies. So I'd like to know if anybody here knows the answer to this. Let me fix my screen. As to his appearance on the Whatever podcast. And his appearance on the Whatever podcast produced this clip, and everybody's confused. Listen as he's questioned to his service in the military.
What's that?
When were you in the Army?
I was in the Army for a very limited amount of time, years and years ago.
How long was that very limited amount of time, if you don't mind me asking?
It wasn't very long, about a year.
Yeah, so did you serve, Andrew?
I did not, no.
Before these scammers cry about me taking this out of context, here's the full context.
And that's pretty much independent of intelligence.
They seem to be joining the Army based around patriotism, the
When were
ability
you
to
in
get
the Army?
paid, the ability to
When
do
were
things
you in
like
the Army
that.
again?
What's that?
When were you in the Army?
I was in the Army for a very limited amount of time, years and years ago.
How long was that very limited amount of time, if you don't mind me asking?
It wasn't very long, about a year.
So last time I checked, chat, I've never served in the military. Last time I checked, chat, how could you be in the Army for a little less than a year? You would have either had to lie to get passed or get accepted, or have done something where they throw you out. So apparently Andrew Wilson was in the military a long time ago. I don't know if you start to pick up on the cues when Andrew Wilson is he's not so confident in what he does. His speech, well, of course, a lot of people will stutter. He does the same thing, but the speech, meaning his actual tone, tends to weaken. It softens up. And so I'm trying to figure out, chat, does this guy in the military? Yes or no? But then they play a later interview where he just straight up says, no, I never served. Because even if you did serve, you could just say, yeah, for a short amount of time, I did serve. But did he serve? I want to know, chat.
Yeah, so what happened?
Well,
Actually,
it doesn't matter what happened.
Oh, but we're talking about service, man.
What about it?
So you want to disenfranchise people based on military service. I actually know why most people join the
What are
Army.
you talking about? How would I disenfranchise them based on military service?
No, you
it
said
would
you
be the
want to
opposite.
disenfranchise
If
those
you're
who
requiring
don't.
people to serve
No,
in
it wouldn't
military-
require them to serve in the Army.
There had to be some sort of service which was rendered before you were allowed to vote. Yeah.
Like military?
Military service, maybe.
Yeah, so did you serve, Andrew?
I did not. No.
So then you wouldn't qualify, huh?
Did I say it was exclusive to military service, though?
Well, I don't understand. What other kind of public service could you do
I just gave
besides
you-
defending your
I
country?
just gave you several.
Excuse me, I know that you're a red pill mother, but here's the deal. I'm going
Whoa.
to put you on mute
red
while
pill.
I finish
That'll
because
teach
you
me.
clearly don't let women finish.
So I'll just say, I'll say, if anything that you're understanding and learning is that people call this the contrarian move, where they just pretend to argue for the sake of arguing. So like I said, it's the sky's red argument. You can pull up, you can argue with anybody about anything at any time. But in the end, if you're going to argue from these positions, you're going to try to, tout that, you have an idea about service and how you can serve, or what you're claiming the profile to look like, is just get your story straight, right? Like the issue with Andrew Wilson is he wants everybody to answer his questions, but when he's asked a question, he alludes. He's, let me not give you the details. He could just said, hey, I was discharged. Why? Because I broke my ankle, or, I was smoking some pot, or I was caught drunk, off the base or something. Just real simple. Just keep it, keep it real. Or you wouldn't have, oh, look, he got discharged for medical, wasn't conforming. Okay, that's the only way, right? So why couldn't he just say that? Why then in the next video, he's like, no, I didn't serve. What gives? You don't know what you get with this guy. Depends on what day, who he's debating. This is what you get. So my question stands. If this man is asking, or at least debating, requirements for you to vote and for you to actually have a voice in society, does he actually serve in the military? That's my question.
Army based around
Or did he serve?
patriotism, the
When were you
ability
in
to
the
get
Army?
paid, the ability to
When
do
were you
things
in the
like
Army
that.
again?
What's that?
When were you in the Army?
I was in the Army for a very limited amount of time, years and years ago.
How long was that very limited amount of time, if you don't mind me asking?
It wasn't very long, about a year.
About a year. So what happened?
Well,
Actually,
it doesn't matter what happened.
Oh, but we're talking about service, man.
What about it?
So you want to disenfranchise people based on military service. I actually know why most people join the
What are
Army.
you talking about? How would I disenfranchise them based on military?
So the mystery continues. Then we have this whole TPUSA thing. Now, chat, there's like people coming outside a little bit, and they're starting to say that they don't believe that Andrew Wilson is or was hired by TPUSA. Now, I happen to believe that they are. So here's my take on it. Not knowing all the angles, is that TPUSA definitely could have easily just made a call to him and said, help us out. We want to groom the next Charlie Kirk, and we want to know how these libs, how you handle them, or whatever it is that they need, so that we can gain some motion. We want to get some motion out in these streets and the internet because we don't have a Charlie Kirk. This is pretty simple. So he announces like a week or so, or a couple weeks ago, that he indeed was hired for that. Now there's people just saying, no, he's lying. They never hired him at all. I don't know that. I don't think that Andrew Wilson would lie about that. If he did, that's pretty bad. But I don't think he did. I think they did hire him. I think they are losing mojo. I think until they get through the Charlie Kirk trial, which, by the way, you're going to see some things that are quite remarkable. And we're going to talk about Candace for a second, because there's a lot of people that need to reassess and start to evaluate how we're going to move into the future. If we as Christians, evangelicals, Protestants, don't want to get psyopped left and right by every single group who's trying to smack us with some version of the truth to get us to support them, then we got to start asking truth questions. So guess what happened? So he says they hired me. People come out and say, no, no, no. And so people are saying that's not true. Andrew Wilson is still saying it's true. I have no reason not to believe it. But let me tell you what that spun into. Apparently, through this whole conversation, Andrew Wilson has decided, because they did hire him and they requested his services, he seems to have stepped up and said, I'm going to offer another service on the cusp, or on the heels, of this trial that's about to start, the preliminary hearing for Tyler Robinson. He decided he's going to be the biggest white knight for one Erica Kirk, if you haven't heard. So he's like, I'll debate anybody and their mama. Don't talk about Erica. Don't say anything about it. If you want to, debate me. So what did he do? He went at the bigger podcasters, the people that have bigger shows, bigger numbers than him, and he says, debate me, debate me. And one of these guys is Barron, who blew up in the last year, or after the trial, once he kind of connected with one Candace Owens. So everybody's catching wind that there's this new guy in town pulling up to sort of wreck them in debates. On what topic? Well, what can get more clicks than what's about to happen and it's relevant is the Charlie Kirk situation. So now this is Baron Coleman, who does his show or his podcast. And what he does is he's been trying to figure out the truth behind what's happening in the Charlie Kirk assassination prior to the trial, because we're going to find out a lot more during trial. And so Andrew Wilson says, hey, punk, I'll debate you. And now Baron Coleman, it's Baron, and Candace Owens have taken shots, and all Andrew Wilson wants to do is debate me, bro. So hopefully maybe they do have a conversation, but this is what they found out, and this is the angle. So now we have this psyop. What's the psyop? You either have to side with Candace Owens, right? Or the crazy conspiracies, that's what they would call them, right? Or you have to side with the FBI narrative that Tyler Robinson was a lone gunman, kind of like Lee Harvey Oswald. He did it by himself, and it was him, and he's one hell of a shot, and he's great, meaning he's great at shooting, and he was military trained or whatever it is you're going to have to think, because, to pull off what he pulled off, regardless if it was, you think it's lucky, it still required some skill. The point is, he was by himself, nobody helped him. And that's a very, very tough case to make. But that's what the feds are saying. The feds are saying he didn't really have anybody helping him. He was by himself. So you either have to believe that, or you have to believe Candace Owens, the crazy Egyptian plains, Fort Huachuca crap. That's it. That's what you have to choose from. You got slop on each side. And what I'm trying to tell you, Christians, is you don't have that option. You have a ton of options. You can say, that smells like crap, feds. Oh, that right there, that doesn't add up, bro. You need to ask more questions. Or how about this? What are you talking about, Fort Huachuca? Who's this guy? Who's that guy? Where are you getting this from? That's what we need to do. We're not these programmed robots that you can just plug in the new PSYOP program and get us to go. Ask questions. You don't have to pick a side. You can literally listen. I can listen to this dude, Barron, who I've heard in the past, but I didn't even know he was blowing up that much. And I can sit there and say, yeah, Barron, I think you're reaching. I think you need more evidence to make this case or this conspiracy to fit. But listen to him. Now they've each have their marching orders. And we're caught in the middle. Barron's about to tell us how much of a fraud this dude, Andrew Wilson, is.
And it was so surprising to me this last week when I saw that one of the chief critics of Erica Kirk and of TPUSA is now allegedly, by his own admission, I don't think I'm saying anything that's out of school here, on the TPUSA payroll. I will show you an example here. This is a guy named Andrew Wilson talking to someone above. As always, Andrew with the worst explanations to defend Erica and TPUSA. How does he respond? Nothing to do with Erica Kirk. She's a terrible leader and a femcon like the rest of TPUSA and a moron.
All right, chat. Let's figure this out real quick. So Andrew Wilson, as I told you before in the last live, that he thinks that Erica Kirk is a moron. He thinks the TPUSA does little good, but, some harm too. Why? Because they're filthy Protestants. That's probably the angle there. Because remember, he's the one that says that when Protestants preach the gospel, they're actually putting gasoline on sinners and burning them even more or quicker. That was his assertion, which, by the way, he'll probably say, I was just joking. Yeah. So this is who they hired. So here's my question. Do you think TPUSA is desperate enough, crazy enough, or let's just say not so smart to, and answer this honestly, I have my answer. Okay. Do you think that they're desperate enough and maybe not so smart to hire somebody who pretty much has thrown them under the bus? In other words, who's ridiculed them, made them look stupid the way Andrew Wilson. This was just a few months prior to him supposedly getting hired. Do you think that they're this desperate and this slow to hire him? Yes or no, chat? Is TPUSA this desperate to hire one Andrew Wilson who thinks this of their whole organization? I wonder. Yes or no? Be honest. Drop your answer. Let's see what you got. Yes. I mean, I kind of feel like they would. I'm not going to lie. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Am I right? Well, hey, if they're slow enough, if they're dumb, I think that maybe those things would end up in the same place. I think my honest opinion is yes, they would be. They would calculate this as, can we get a bulldog out here for a little bit? Or is this Andrew Wilson fetching for a permanent check on the TPUSA payroll? Because they got pockets. Before an organization starts to die out, before the donors stop writing those big checks, they have a couple years. So there's still a power. There's no power that's, let's say, taken over them during this midterms. So they would totally, I think, in my opinion, take this man's support or allow him to at least be out here on Twitter after he says that she's a terrible leader. Erica Kirk is a femcon like the rest of TPUSA and a moron.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as hard as I've been on these people, and I've suggested perhaps Erica Kirk would better serve her very young children by going home and raising them and leaving the business of running basically $1 billion operation to somebody more qualified. I've never called her, I don't believe, a terrible leader, femcon, and a moron. Maybe if I did, I would get that $15 million payday I've been telling TPUSA I need. You guys need me. I don't need you. You need me, but it's going to cost you $15 million. Because apparently they hired this guy. I'll show you the video where he claims to have been hired by these people. I cannot imagine someone talking about my CEO like this and then me saying, we should hire that guy. That'd be a great hire. That'd be an amazing hire. That's who we should hire. Well, he wasn't done because this is on March 20th of this year. March 20th of this year, like 3 months ago. Feminists always claim misogyny doesn't protect women. But here I am claiming Erica Kirk is too retarded to have participated in Charlie's assassination. Proving the claim wrong entirely. Yes, this is my real position. In other words, lest you think I don't think this about Erica Kirk, this is my real position. And I will devastate. This is my real position, backed with facts. You have facts that Erica is R-worded?
So apparently she's a tard. Chat, what do you make of this? 3 months ago, 3.5 months ago, he's saying that the leader, who he apparently, remember, he said he shook her hand and he's like, I'm going to defend her. I'm going to defend the tard. Apparently this is how, hey, he's for hire. The sky is red. I'm your man. I'll argue it. I'll make it happen. Let's do it. Because, it could have been a sunset where the sky was red. So I can get you to agree to that, right? This is him. So I'll debate anybody. But at the same time, what is TPUSA doing? They had to have known this stuff was out there. So what is this? This is desperation. This is what desperation looks like. Is you're trying to catch other people's motion. You're trying to create an alliance. You're trying to keep the things going. So you'll team up with whoever and just call it, let's be buddies. Let's be frenemies. Let's do it.
I'm happy to hear them. Do a show on them. I would love to hear the facts you have. Real position backed with facts. That Erica is this, too R-worded. That's incredible. It's an incredible claim. Incredible. I'm genuinely curious. I want to see these facts. But Baron, surely you're done. Surely they wouldn't hire a guy who said more than that. Oh? You don't think TPUSA would pay money to a guy who talks like that about women? Settle down, friends. Just talking to Officer Tatum, I see you posting pretty fervently about Fuentes being some sort of nefarious character for his opposition to TPUSA.
Wait a minute. Is he buddies with Fuentes now? Is this the coalition we talked about, chat? Is this it, chat? Is it now Fuentes, Andrew Wilson, Jay Dyer? Oh, they're getting all the support they can, plugging in with TPUSA, and we can all be buddy so that we can create this political force and do a new, a reset of MAGA, and then we can really stick it to them. Anybody who doesn't align with our anti-Zionist, Zionist/EO, Catholic, Protestant. Wait a minute. Hold on. This is turning out to be a real horrible cup of gumbo. It's a bunch of contrary positions. How are they going to make this work? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because like Andrew Wilson does, he can just start arguing that the sky is red. And he can make an argument. So that's all you need to do. The coalition can just, stand by, a little weak link. It'll just hold up just enough just to get this power, this grifting going. And then we're all buddies. Because now, apparently, he has Fuentes as a real genius dude that he agrees with.
I also had opposition to TPUSA on many issues, though I did think Kirk did more good than harm, and said so publicly, indicating he opposed TPUSA and thought Charlie Kirk at least did some harm.
Chat. I wonder what harm he did. So this is Andrew Wilson, who's now taking money from the group who he thinks did harm. It's one thing to disagree with him, but on what front do you think that he did harm? I'll give you 2 topics. I'll give you 2 hints. It has to do with their Christian position. And of course, the other one starts with a J or an I, chat. You figure it out. So Wilson has gone into hot water because he aligned with TPUSA, and apparently now he's aligning with Israel. So he has to sort of, block with this right hand over here the people that are coming at him with these allegations of him being a Zionist now. And then at the same time, he also has to try to find unity with some of these dudes.
He opposed TPUSA and at least thought Charlie Kirk did some harm. Okay, well, that's maybe doing better. Surely that's it. It's not like you're out there bashing the women of TPUSA.
Wait, what? Whose wife? Yo, Chad, is this true? Wait, whose wife, bro? Whose wife? Somebody, are you talking about Andrew Wilson's wife? No. Say it ain't so. If that's the don't yo, chat, don't turn into the Candace Owens chat and just start making stuff up, bro. Y'all gotta have some evidence for this. If that's the case, Andrew Wilson's wife is part of the Juminati, bro. I'm signing off. Well, are you guys serious? Oh, okay, all right, we'll find it. Shoot it to me. Yo, that's crazy. Okay. I get you. Yeah. Where's Woo at? Woo, is this true? Man, we gotta check the Juminati cards before we get cracking on some of these. I'm sorry. I'm just, I don't got it. I don't have the nose for it. I can't sniff it out. I don't know, how it looks, Somebody told me it smells like chicken piccata mixed with silver dollars. I mean, I don't even know what that meant, but it was a great joke. All right, chat. So now we have the Candace Owens, the Barons, the Ians. What's that guy Ian who's a big time? He's trying. Everybody's on a mission to find out who killed Charlie Kirk. We're gonna get to that in a second. If you haven't been watching the trial, I have to tell you something. That today there's a lot of things that you have to reassess. I understand that we're all questioning the government, but let me just tell you what happened in this. I'm gonna finish playing this video a little bit in here, but I want you to see the connection. Now, Andrew Wilson is teamed up with TPUSA, who's the arch enemy of Nick Fuentes. But Nick Fuentes, he's agreeing with Nick Fuentes because he's trying to tell us that we're getting psyopped. So we have a psyop with a psyop with a psyop, and then we have another psyop on the other side, which is this other guy who's trying to psyop us and tell us, yeah, if you're a Protestant, you're essentially going to hell. That's the other psyop. So here it is. The most powerful group in the world, the evangelicals of the Great Unitas, are being psyoped on every side. Everything's a psyop. In fact, I would argue, is a psyop a psyop? And technically a psyop is a psyop because a psyop in the title was started by the CIA. So yeah. So what are we to do? What are we doing? What are we doing? Okay, so if this is a rumor about Andrew Wilson's wife, well, I'd love to see some evidence, but I find this very, very interesting that this has been thrown into the mix. I'll be honest with you. My conspiracy hat, which is right behind me. Here, let me remove the thing right there. See that? See the conspiracy hat? I'm going to have to throw that joint back on. We're going to have to get to work here. We're going to have to figure out who is psyoping us. In fact, from now until the midterms, until the next presidential election, you and I, Christians, evangelicals, Pentecostals, whatever, put yourself in that same group. We have to figure out who's psyoping us. And then internally, we have to worry about people psyoping us. We just might as well put on our tinfoil hats now. Let's not take them off. Let's just stay in this mode the whole time because we're having all kinds of alliances and agreements. And watch what Barron says here. Oh, sorry. Let me pull that back up. So if you're not aware, there is something a brewing, and I'm going to tell you where the psyop is coming to us Christians.
Right? You didn't make fun of the Women's Leadership Summit. That was like Charlie's baby. He loved the Young Women's Leadership Summit. Oh, no. Of course, not my thing. But I definitely took on TPUSA feminist bimbos and wrecked them often enough. I would argue in many ways Fuentes was successful. TPUSA feminist bimbos? feminist bimbos?
So I guess Andrew Wilson, they went ahead and said, you know what? Let's just let bygones be bygones. We'll give you a little check, pull up and defend us. That shows they're desperate or they're slow or both. I think they're desperate. I think TPUSA has got maybe a max of another year of influence before the donors start pulling those checks. You know what I mean? They start pulling it back. They're like, hey, give us that back. And then it's all going to be tied to the success of what they were pushing. Let's keep it a whole buck. If you guys are not on planet Earth, then you're not going to know this. But if you are, you're going to know that TPUSA, prior to Kirk passing, was becoming, that relationship was a little bit dicey between him and Israel and Bibi. He kept trying to tell Bibi how to run his country. Bibi didn't like that. You know, I'm not saying that he was mad at him or he was going to hurt him. Allegedly, my opinion, allegedly. I'm simply saying is that there was some tension there. Then after Charlie Kirk is gone, I'm just saying the tension is gone. It's just magically not there anymore. It's not there. What am I supposed to think? Well, allegedly. My opinion, allegedly. I mean, what am I supposed to put together? I'm a smart guy. Maybe not. I mean, I'm a dumb Mexican, but you know what I'm saying is I could put 2 and 2 together, or can I? So here's my point. How does this tie in with Nick Fuentes? Well, watch. Baron, at the last part of this video, I'm going to cue up Nick Fuentes because you're not going to believe this. Now we have the Catholics, which is what Nick Fuentes, he is a Catholic, but a lot of Catholics in the chat, don't be offended by this. I'm just saying that is his religious, that's the church that he claims. I know he doesn't act like a Catholic and he's not a Catholic in that sense. I'm simply saying is you can see where the powers. But Nick Fuentes, a proclaimed Catholic, is, the head of the Groypers, whatever that means. And they're now going to try to team up. And I told you that this influential meeting where Andrew Wilson was, quarterbacking this whole thing. We're going to have Jay Dyer as our religious priest. He's going to be the one that goes out. And then you guys, Jim Bob, you guys are all going to be my debaters. And we're going to go out and debate and we're going to crush things. Then we're going to take over. And then it's going to be us. It's no longer going to be Charlie Kirk. We are going to be the kings. We're going to run this evangelical. And at the same time, we're going to throw their faith we're going to throw it under the bus. And we're going to sit there and say, are you seriously a Protestant? You really believe in all this Enlightenment talk? Aren't you the ones that caused the fall of Western society, even though they're still living in it, enjoying it, and literally getting paid off of it? Brothers, I appeal to you. These are fools that think that you're stupid. Enough's enough. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you think that Charlie Kirk would ever be caught trying to do this grift move? Trying to simply reach out with... He was friends with Candace Owens. As soon as he started to disagree with her, he didn't diss her, but he was no longer seen with her. Do you think Charlie in a million years would argue the sky is red, would just be a contrarian, would run around yapping, running his mouth, arguing with pointless people, unless he's trying to convert you based on the beliefs of his political ideology or his faith? In other words, do you sense that Charlie Kirk would ever be a dishonest actor in a conversation? Did you ever get that sense? Did you ever see Charlie Kirk and go, yeah, that dude's kind of a rat? Like, I don't even think he really believes that. Does he really think about that, about the founding, about history, about the gospel, about the Bible? Did you ever get the sense that this dude was fronting? I didn't. And I didn't agree with everything he said. I probably agree with 95% of what he said. And especially at the end when he started to go, well, maybe we don't have to go bomb them. And apparently he was calling up the President Trump. I'm going to make this all make sense. You have to understand, evangelicals, we are the prize. And we're being psyopped from all sides. And all you have to do is pump the brakes, slow down, and ask basic questions. Like, hey, Andrew Wilson, do you know what you're talking about? Oh, you don't? You're lying again and pretending you are? And just literally trying to run a script? Okay, then you, sir, are no longer in my playlist. You're no longer a YouTuber debater that I watch, because I don't know what you're willing to do simply to win an argument, get a paycheck, or whatever it is that you're doing. But you never get that sense from Charlie Kirk. Even if you disagreed with him, you'd say he probably researched that. He's probably looking at the data differently, but he definitely didn't come up with that out of thin air. He's not trying to pivot live and just go like, the sky is red. You know how Andrew Wilson does it? Well, let me give you this hypothetical. Suppose for a second, I went ahead, you know, the long hypotheticals that he goes on. When did you ever see Charlie Kirk doing that crap? Because he doesn't need to do that. What he needed to do is be studied up on the issues, form an opinion, have an opinion, be able to make an argument, put a foundation under it, and say, knock it down. That's all he needs to do. That's all you need to do with liberals and people who have no foundation. You don't need to do the wild hypotheticals. You don't need to sit there and call them morons. You know, as he spazzed out, remember Andrew Wilson? Oh, FFF. He couldn't control himself, looked like he was convulsing. You don't need to do that. Men don't do that. So if we know that these are the types of characters that are out here, then it's up to you, Christians, to pick the right ones. But even when we do, we still have to verify. Trust but verify is what Ronald Reagan said, right? Trust but verify. I trust that you're exuding the right fruits. Maybe you have the right temperament. Maybe you have the right policies or the right principles that lead to the right policies, and you might be the right person in the right party. But I need to be convinced, because we just got duped and tricked. So let's slide over to that, shall we? So he tells us that Andrew Wilson agrees with Nick Fuentes. Let me tell you this connection. Let me tell you how crazy this is getting. Because I think, and I told you this before, that their plan is to build this coalition. And this coalition is going to be a wide net to get Catholics, to get Protestants in on this idea that we don't have to attack each other. When we need each other, I can be the binding force. Me, Andrew Wilson, I can get people together. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and agree with Nick Fuentes in a way that all these people who are questioning the government or the narrative in the Charlie Kirk case are idiots. So I'm going to go ahead and agree, and I'm going to give you a well-balanced view of this. So don't think I'm knocking one side or the other. I'm asking you as a Christian to do what God has asked you to do. The Word of God tells you plainly that you're supposed to examine these things, all things. You're supposed to question. So don't be lazy and get out of this. Don't just sit there and go, well, you know, I kind of like what he says on this side, but, you know, I know that he's kind of weird on this side. No, judge him. Everything that comes out of their mouth, if you're going to act, and then if you got it playing in the background, if you got these people playing in the background and your kids are watching you watch these people, don't get me wrong. Your kids, you think sometimes they're like not tuned in. They're just on their iPad. They're not watching. They're watching what you're watching. And if you're watching these people who act this way, then they're going to say, all right, cool. So this, should I start listening to this dude? So listen to him as he wants to tie it all together. Andrew Wilson wants to be the new Charlie Kirk. So he wants to get everybody together. He wants to get Jay Dyer on his EO side with a Catholic Groiper who's got a movement, and he wants to give him some credit. They want to start to, hug.
So Nick Fuentes was right. Fuentes was right. In a manner of speaking, he was correct. The Charlie Kirk conspiracy stuff is drivel. It's being pushed by a left-wing operation that wants him destroyed. They're using Act Blue money in order to gain intel, hand it over to the Candace Owens people. And they've been doing.
Wait a minute. So let me get this straight. Somebody else questions, let's say, the investigation to Charlie Kirk. That's a conspiracy theorist, right? But what you do is you attack back with another conspiracy that says that the Democrats are funding Candace Owens. I'm assuming you have evidence for this, right? Because then at the same time, you would just be a big time hypocrite. Log in your eye, bro. So tell me that Andrew Wilson is not going to have another conversation with somebody like David Wood and tell him, how dare you? But at the same time, have the same sort of conspiracy mindset when it comes to the things that he can claim. He just said that Candace Owens is being funded directly by the Democratic Party. Now, some of you in the chat may go like, well, I think so. She's kind of crazy. She says some crazy stuff. I get it, but that's a serious accusation. Remember when they were floating around, hey, you guys seem to be sympathetic, David Wood said. You guys sound like you guys are running with Putin's orders because you kind of want to create division amongst even the, not only just political movements, but religious, amongst interfaith, Orthodox and Protestants and Catholics. And he's just like, that's so stupid. What a stupid idea. But now he's got apparently Candace Owens being zelled money from Act Blue. So basically Andrew Wilson thinks you're an idiot. He can go around creating whatever conspiracy he wants, but you put one together with the same, let's say, scrutiny, criterion, level of evidence, and you know what he does? He's just like, you're a stupid conspiracy theorist. How dare you? How'd you come up with that? Who came up with that? The same people, the same team apparently that came up with this. Where's your evidence?
Doing it right out in the open. And you people have been so fucking distracted and stupid that all you had to do was a little bit of basic research and you could have found all this out yourselves. Instead, you've been worrying about doing a frame by frame.
Yeah, look at this. Like, real simple. Doubt it. Candace has a rich husband. Correct. Why Candace does the show is beyond me. And I just think it's because their family is that influential that they know she can move the needle for power. Certainly isn't for money. So why would they take their talking points from Act Blue? Listen, I'm the guy that said I turned it off after the Egyptian planes and this Fort Huachuca crap, which, by the way, ended up being slop. It was crap. So if any of you guys are Candace fans and you're hurt, I don't care, man. There's a reason. There's literally a reason why I don't make money doing this, because I'm beholden to nobody. I'm going to tell you the truth. When you sound like a moron and you sound stupid, you sound like you're reaching, I'm going to tell you, bro, that's not a good look. I do it every single day. I'm trying to clean the whole table for you, and let's set it properly. Who is actually saying things that you agree with? And I'm arguing that these people on many levels don't agree with you. The person that's watching right now, they don't agree with you. Fundamentally, they don't. Maybe there's some issues where you'll say, yes, well, that's good enough. No, it isn't. I say you find other people. I say you find people who actually agree with you and promote them. Take time watching their channel. And if you say, well, I don't know what that is. Before these guys became popular, they were somewhere and people found them. So I suggest you do the same thing. If you're an evangelical, you need to move on from a person who's now about to say this because he thinks you're an idiot for believing anything outside of what the federal investigation is telling us. Mind you, remember they told us that a 30-06 entered into Charlie's neck and apparently disappeared because they don't have, but I guess, fragments of the bullet. So there's no ballistics matching any bullet that hit him to that gun as of this point. Now, the defense is about to roll out. They may produce some evidence, but as of right now, that hasn't been produced. It apparently just broke up and there's little fragments of it, but they're never going to know. This is their claim. So I can't question that. Or, look, Andrew Wilson says that I'm this.
To see if Charlie Kirk's microphone exploded because Israeli assassins landed at Provo airfield, you fucking dipshits. Fucking stupidest people. Dumbasses. Don't you know how the psyops work? This is how psyops work. You follow the money.
Wait a minute. Wait, what? Psyops work where you follow the money, chat? Oh, no, he didn't. Did he just expose himself? Wait, hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
Do you see how stupid this guy is? So you went to a pro-Protestant, pro-Zionist, and you're going to say to influence them. You took the money, and now you want to be the white knight of one Erica Kirk. And so you're out here doing it for what? For free? Is that what you expect us to believe, Andrew Wilson? You've done this for free? Or should we follow the money? What should we do?
Vector Tilly doesn't have shit on you. Well done, sir. People need to go to prison. What needs to happen? They need to go to fucking jail.
So people need to go to prison because they're questioning. They're just questioning. So did people need to go to jail when they were questioning the JFK, the official story? That'd be a good question to ask one Andrew Wilson. Hey, buddy, do you question the official story of Lee Harvey Oswald, that he was a lone gunman? Nobody knew what was going to happen in Dallas that day. Nobody. It was just him. He's walking around and he has his rifle and he does it and he makes it happen. Is that what, do you believe that Andrew Wilson actually believes the official story? The JFK official story? I'd say, no, you know what I'm going to do? You're so stupid. What do you think? The mafia was involved? The CIA? Don't tell me that. You're a moron. You see how I can do this? I can play this role all day. The sky's red all day. You come in and tell me something, I'll be like, you're stupid. You're low IQ. You're low tier. That's all these guys are doing. That's all they're doing. I hope that you figured it out. Turn off the programming. Go listen to somebody else. Take this time to actually learn what these guys are saying about history. You're going to see some whoppers in a minute. These guys give their own version of history. They pretend to go back and read so many books that depending upon the amount of books that they have, if you catch them in the right place, there they have the right information. But 10 years ago when they read 1,000 books, they were totally lost. They were Catholics, they were Protestants, they were idiots. 10 years ago when they read 1,000 books, they thought they knew it all, but apparently they were morons. They had to wait another 1,000 books in 10 years to get it right. And I'm talking about one Jay Dyer. He would lead you to believe that all the books that he's read, allegedly, that he's been brilliant the whole time and very smart. And now he's figured it out. After his fifth religion, fifth political movement, whatever he's on, now he's figured it out. And you guys are idiots. And here's Andrew Wilson telling us the same thing.
Watching your evidence pile up, the one thing that came to mind was the words of Jack Nicholson. Where does he get those wonderful toys? Yep, this is who we live with. They figured out how to successfully psyop the right.
Now, let me just, so you guys will know this. What do you think the percentage of the right, okay, when they say the right, what is the percentage that's evangelicals, Protestants? Go ahead, give me a percentage, chat. If when somebody says the conservative right, what is the percentage of that is us? Give me your number. Go ahead. Take a good guess as to what you think, how big that number is. Go ahead, chat. What do you think? What's the percentage? I'd say minimal. Minimal. This would be dirt low right here, but nice, conservative. Very conservative. Very low. Very low. This right here might be the lowest I would go. I would probably, I'd say 75, I think is a better conservative number. I would say 85 would be my minimum, right? That's where I would start. And I'd say it goes as high as 93, 94%. That's us. So when he says they psyop, yet again, here's the psyop genius telling us we've been psyoped. Oh, and guess who's he's going to use? He's already told us, Nick Fuentes. Watch, I'll let him finish this up, and you're going to see exactly what Nick Fuentes thinks of you. This is what he thinks happened when Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
By using X and using dipshits, they're able to pull off a successful psyop. Nobody bothered. I wonder why it would be that an Act Blue self-described socialist would be working and her tour hand in hand with the people right now who are going rigidly after the USA. Why would their ops be working so closely with them? Well, it's not hard to fucking figure out, huh? It's not very.
Oh, now he's Mr. Investigator. Somebody called David Wood. Somebody sent him this message because apparently Andrew Wilson, apparently he has all the answers now when it comes to conspiracy and people putting together coalitions behind the scenes and, oh, they work for one another. Oh, Act Blue, really? See? I'm doing the Andrew Wilson. This is me. This is what he does. Oh, really? You have a picture with them? Do you have a recording of their meeting where they're conspiring? Because then I'll just say that's AI. Ha ha! That's not evidence. You see it? Everybody's gaslighting everybody. And we are sitting here witnessing it. So it's time to just start to go, all right, bro, we get it. You had a little stretch where you were talking to blue-haired freaks and OnlyFans, and you were smacking them around with the basic idea of how do you know the truth is the truth. Okay, subjectivity versus objectivity. Bravo, bravo. It's been done for decades, possibly centuries. We got it. You came through, you're puffing a cigarette, you're cussing, you think you're slick, and then you're like, oh yeah, destiny. We get it. But it's enough. Christians, it's enough. You just got to go, all right, I'll listen, but I'm no longer taking anything seriously. Or why am I even wasting my time listening to this when I can actually go learn the actual fundamentals, the principles, the policies that us Christians can share? And then we can find better mouthpieces, better people who actually have morals and a backbone, which I believe Charlie Kirk did. Even though I don't think he was the smartest dude, I think in the end, and I'm not knocking him, I'm saying I'm smarter than him, but I think in the end he was figuring out he was getting suckered. He was getting played and controlled, but he thought he was in control, and that's what his final moves were in the last year before he passed. He started to figure out, wait a minute, I think I'm getting worked. I think I'm getting played a little bit here. And I'll tell you exactly when that happened. But the exciting part is we're about to watch Nick Fuentes. I'm going to let him finish up because now he's Nick Fuentes' biggest fan.
Very difficult to figure out. Coleman himself may not be taking Act Blue money, but I guarantee you that all of these people are in contact with each other. They very much publicly talk to each other. No reason for us to assume they're not sharing information. Of course they are. And it's all Act Blue funded.
So now Candace is an Act Blue employee. You see this? He can do this.
Crazy.
But when they started to line up the Moscow Patriarchate, they started to line up their ability to divide the West, to blame the West, to blame the Reformation, to blame John Locke for the Enlightenment and at least the degeneracy that we see in America. It's all of the Protestants' fault. And when you try to line up, hey, that sounds really familiar. It sounds like, you're kind of like maybe pro-Russian, pro-China, put whatever label you want, communist, semi-communist. It sounds like you guys are trying to really get at the West. You really care about what's happening over here. Yeah, but what we'll do is we'll put a couple of Americans to do it. Well, let me show you the Andrew Wilson comment and how he says that we are getting played. Who? He said conservatives. So I want you guys to be honest with me. When Charlie Kirk got offed, okay, for the whole world to see, you're about to listen to Nick Fuentes, and I want you to be honest with me. Did you feel what Nick Fuentes is about to say was the case? Okay, listen to this.
Charlie Kirk was killed by Tyler Robinson. He was. Tyler Robinson's transgender boyfriend sold him out. His parents turned him in. His DNA was found at the scene of the crime. His grandparents' gun was found in the bush, discarded after the killing. Tyler Robinson was the killer. He confessed. And what was Tyler Robinson? He was part of the radical left. He was in left-wing Discord servers. He organized with left-wing students. He was one of these people that would have been in favor of Zohran Mamdani. He's a radical left, trans liberation, socialist progressive, hick lib. That's what he was. He killed Charlie Kirk. And what immediately happened after Charlie Kirk died is all of a sudden there was a mandate from an angry nation, which was unequivocally destroy the radical left.
Right there. After Charlie Kirk met his demise, right? As horrible as it was, do you remember all of the nation unequivocally coming together, unified, saying, we need to get rid of this LG blue-haired agenda? Chat, I'm asking you a straight-up question. Is that what you remember, everybody? Your phone was ringing and you guys are going, did you see it? It was horrible. But we need to get these blue-haired scumbags. Is that what you were doing? Is that what your friends were doing? Is that what your MAGA joint was doing? Your conspiracy friends were doing? Were they all going, yeah, these blue-haired freaks, that's what we need to do. We need to take them all out. Is that what everybody was doing in unison? Is that what you're leading us to believe? He's pretending like this was 9/11. 9/11, everybody and their mama was, let's go get them. You got it. They just knocked down our buildings. Where are they at? Let's get them. Remember? He's trying to act like that's what happened after Charlie Kirk died. Yeah, literally. Now let me tell you, I'm going to explain why all of this makes sense. Why you didn't feel that way, chat. I'm going to show you. And it's real clear. But for anybody to listen to this dude right here, this dude Fuentes, who can't figure out his own life, his own faith, who I still believe is a closet LG. Okay, he needs to repent for many reasons of running his mouth. Then he wants to be white. You know, he's what we call a coconut, right? He wants to be white. Then he did, when it's convenient, he brings up that he's a Mexican. I don't know how he avoids it with Fuentes, right? But the point is, anybody who's listening to this dude right here, straight up, if you actually take what this guy is saying seriously and apply it, or even if you take his political comments and think that it's like, oh, it's genius. Where is it that this Mexican, just like me, thinks that he's going with all his white talking points? And why do I say it? It's because everybody knows. Everybody knows that Fuentes, on one side or the other, really doesn't want to be. He doesn't want, come on, chat. You know he doesn't want to be Mexican. Like he literally, that's outside of Fuentes is because that was going to come out. So he had to have Fuentes to give you a little bit of vibe. You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of, you know, Hispanic. But here's what he said. He said, I'm going to play for you again. And I want you to remember when we saw that horrific day with Charlie Kirk, that scene of him locking up and he was gone. Anybody who thought he was alive anytime after that was, I mean, I know they can get a heartbeat back in him, but he was gone. And he says that we all were thinking this.
Clip. That's what he was. He killed Charlie Kirk. And what immediately happened after Charlie Kirk died is all of a sudden there was a mandate from an angry nation, which was unequivocally destroy the radical left. Everybody in America was horrified by the violence. Everybody other than the most extreme elements on the left.
This guy is not only a liar, it's the classic revisionist history. And this is recent history. This is what they do. They change what actually happened. I don't know anybody, not a person, that came to me after and said, boy, we really got to get this trans agenda. Not a one. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't have a DM. I don't got a message from anybody going, bro, we got to make them pay. Who? The trans. None. You know what every single person did say is they were horrified by it. And immediately, the only people that I know said, who did this? I wonder who did this. Well, it appears that it's a lone shooter, but we've heard this story before. And why am I so torn up that when they tell me that they caught him and that he confessed and that he's this? Wait a minute. He's suicidal, but he's not. He's not trying to take his life. He's mounting a defense. He wants to see every bit of evidence. Wait a minute. I thought this was a slam dunk. Huh. He kind of sounds like one Lee Harvey Oswald who got trotted out like a fish to be gutted and was shot by Jack Ruby. And what was Oswald saying before he died? Oswald was saying what before he died? He's innocent. I'm a patsy is what he said. Huh. So given our history and given Mr. Conspiracy himself, this guy right here, Fuentes, who tells us that everybody, every injustice, everything has to do with the Jews, That's what he says, right? This is him. This is Mr. Conspiracy himself. Now he's telling us, shut your mouth, believe what the government is saying. We got the right guy. Now, let me tell you something. I'm not saying that they don't have the right guy. I'm saying is I don't know. I don't know. But let me pinpoint what you're about to hear and why it is that I can prove to you. I know what happened. I know why you, me, and all of us are going like, yeah, I kind of believed it, but I still didn't believe it. And you don't know why. You don't know why immediately you went into, no, because by the way, this is this is Trump's FBI. This is Trump's investigative unit that's handling this, ultimately. So why is it that I feel this disturbance in the force? Trump's FBI, his administration is telling us, we got the guy. This is him, for sure. No, Eric Kirk, TPUSA, donors, none of that. You just shut your mouths. That's just stupid. We got the guy. Why is it that we didn't feel good? And I'm going to remind you, but let me let Nick Fuentes rock.
Young people and old people, black people and white people, men and women, boys and girls, gay people. Everybody was horrified that Charlie Kirk was gunned down, gushing blood out of his neck at some campus college event. And the mandate was unequivocal, which is find the culprit, destroy them. And that's exactly what the government was going to do. Didn't they say Stephen Miller and Vance were on the case and they were going to root out and destroy DSA in these socialist cells across the country? But then what happened? What happened right after that is all of a sudden everybody started to muddy the waters and blame it on Israel.
Wow. Mr. Blame It on Israel all the time is now not on the blame it on Israel because he loves Trump. No, he hates Trump. He believes that the federal investigators are great people. No, he doesn't. He's always against them. So what's the change? Do you see this? He's saying that we were all unified in going, no, LG, trans, this is the problem. And that all of a sudden we were Psyopped, we're stupid, we're morons. Remember, he said the right. That means evangelicals. We're idiots, and that we immediately bought all the Fort Huachuca slop too. That we immediately said, oh, Candace Owens got all the answers. We were asking questions. And then she ended up going, well, that ended up not being an actual lead. Oh, well, that was I dropped that. I don't mention the Fort Huachuca thing anymore because it was retarded. That's literally what she does now. So we as Christians, as evangelicals, the right, we're questioning everybody. And I'm going to show you why. So chat, there's two major events that took place just 2 months, roughly, in the neighborhood. 2 months prior to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Two major events that happened. And these major events changed everything. It allowed that one day when we see them going, we got him, he's this liberal, he's this lib trans dude, this LG sympathizer dude, we got him, he's a real weirdo, we got him right here. He got a written note from his mommy and daddy, they said he did it. Oh, he used grandpappy's gun to do it. Oh yeah, and he was such a weirdo. Look, we got the whole goods on this weirdo, and here we have it in a nice package for you guys to open up and look at it. And we got it all wrapped up in 33 hours right before anything. What made us go, what? Are you sure? This sounds funny. I got to ask some questions. Can I ask questions? No, you can't. What are you going to say, Erica Kirk killed her husband? No, I'm just asking questions. You're one of these Candace Owens, Fort Huachuca weirdos, huh? No, I'm not. I'm just asking questions. Do you know why? So the two events, chat, that happened during Trump's administration that have you thinking this way. Let's see if we can find one. One out of the two, chat. What is one major event that took place prior to this assassination? Can anybody think about it? One had to do with a conflict, and another one had to do with a famous island. This will be fun. Let's see what we could figure out. What events took place? Can any of you think? Talking about major conflicts, y'all got to put this together. We overwhelmingly, no, not COVID, the island, that's for sure. So we confidently get Trump in. Right? Trump gets in, inaugurated, January. Come June, what does he do? If you don't remember, because I know that history moves fast, and this is what even Nick Fuentes is doing with history, but on June 13th, we decide to bomb or to get in the quote-unquote 12-day war. Israel, Iran, and of course, we're there dropping bombs, meaning that initial run with the bombs and all that. Wait a minute. I voted for Trump. He says we're not going to get into these pesky wars. We have other business. We have to prosper. And in less than 6 months of that dude being in office, he goes ahead and says, yeah, well, maybe I'm going to do it anyway. Oh, that's okay, though. You know what? We're going to get in and get out. We're going to get, okay. Oh, yeah. You got it. Then let's go for it. Let's get all this investment in. Let's go arrest the pedos, right? Let's get all these crazy businessmen. Let's do it just like you said you were going to do. Remember that, Trump? Oh, yeah. Well, guess what? Just a few days later, on July 16th, a very important day for some people, if you know. On July 16th, guess what he does? Trump comes out and says, that whole Epstein thing, it's a Democrat hoax. It's a hoax. It's a hoax. Then, Charlie Kirk. So MAGA is going, wait, what? We're bombing what? And we're doing what? Wait, what? Epstein is a hoax? Wait, what? Charlie Kirk got off? Wait, what? It was a single, nobody knows him, trans shooter. He had nothing to do with anybody else, nothing connected. There's nothing to see here. Now do you get it, chat? This is the proper view of history. By the time you get to Charlie Kirk, we don't believe crap that this administration is saying. We're trying to verify everything now. And first thing we do is in 33 hours, we get a nice folded, nothing to see here. We found everything. Nothing to see. Epstein says a hoax. Then you have we're not going to go to war. No more wars. We have to fix, and then boom. So this is the order of the events. So Nick Fuentes wants to know why exactly he can't remember what happened. Bro, it didn't happen the way you said it happened. The way it really happened was that people were already souring on the idea that Trump wasn't keeping his promises. And somebody like Nick Fuentes can spit it and say, we were like 9/11. Go USA, USA. Crap. When that dude got killed, we're like, who did it? Who knows? And immediately, cover-up started to happen. Was Charlie Kirk really upset with Israel and Bibi? No, he wasn't. It was great. Everything was fine. And we indeed found out that was a lie. Months prior to that, he was already talking to them. Hey, you guys need to fix this. And then it was just lie after lie and lie. And I'm like, okay, bro, I don't know if the dude did it, but he certainly, if he did do it, did he do it by himself? No. Somebody had to have helped him. Somebody sent him some money. Somebody pointed him in the right direction. Somebody incentivized him. Like what? We're to believe that's it? Then he pulled off a great shot, and I hate to say it, but I don't think that he was shooting that often at the range. But hey, let's say he got lucky. And in this case, unlucky for Charlie Kirk. Where I'm going to believe all this? You expect me to believe all this? And that's exactly where anybody that I was speaking to was at. They were sad. It was a tragedy. We had some fear because we said, bro, are we going to be able to go to campuses anymore? Like, we're going to have any speakers, any debate, or is everybody going to get shot at? Right? But then the dust started to settle, and we started to figure out that these crimes didn't match the MO crimes from before. And then you had everybody becoming investigators. And yes, it was leading down slop alleys, Fort Huachuca, and this other crap. Yeah, that's what happens when you're questioning everything. Right? But now they have us believe, okay, let's psyop the psyop. So now what they're going to do is they're telling us that we got psyop by the Democrats, the liberals, that us questioning the investigation or questioning anything in general, apparently, is a psyop, and that the Democrats and the liberals are controlling us via Candace Owens or even Nick Fuentes. If he happens to change his tune and disagrees with Andrew Wilson could just go ahead and say, he's an act blue. Everybody know he's a pawn. He's a shill. He's some kind of a double agent, whatever. So now anytime we get a little nervous and we start seeing inconsistency in our leaders, we're idiots and we're being psyoped. I'm telling you, that's the psyop. In fact, the psyop doesn't even mean psyop anymore. All psyop means is that people are trying to pitch you, give you a commercial as to what they want you to do, how they're trying to control you. It's not even CIA stuff anymore. Like the fact that these guys are getting together thinking that they can actually control. A person who's an EO who said that we're putting gas on people by giving them the gospel is trying to be a mouthpiece that you or I, whatever, wake up, watch his stuff, give him money and say, yeah, be our new leader to represent conservatives is crazy. And if you know anybody that's doing this, not only are you dealing with a coper, but you're probably dealing with a deceiver themselves. You can just simply say, no, thank you, I'll pass. I might find somebody like Charlie Kirk, who maybe I don't agree with everything on, but hey, at least he's honest and I know he knows the issues and believes what he's talking about. And I'm not waiting for who's going to pay you next. And then you're going to switch positions. So I want to show you, finish off with Nick Fuentes here so we can shift over to the last piece of this whole EO psyop. And it has to do with the religious side, which is Jay Dyer's view. And by the way, Jay Dyer has pretty much got outside and said, hey, God logic. He's already, they already said about David Wood, but they're making fun of God logic. They're treating God logic like he is a literal rat. Like some of the disgusting stuff that they're saying about him is this is the psyop. It's to discredit evangelicals, to discredit Protestants, to really just degrade them and say that they're not Christians. They're literally liars and they have no interest in really defending the faith or doing the work of the Lord. This is how bad this is getting. This is the psyop. So if you're going to point out who are the bad actors, follow the fruit. If people are saying that, let's say David Wood or God Logic, who I don't agree with them on everything, but for me to sit here and say that they're workers of iniquity, I don't have evidence for that. I don't. You'd have to show me some pretty strong evidence. Pretty strong evidence to get me to say something like that. Because like, as I say, who's looking at your internet browser history, right? And what are we talking about?
Suddenly there was this narrative that people were wearing maroon and there were these Egyptian planes chasing Charlie Kirk and there were a bunch of Israelis there. And what about the angle from behind him? Didn't Charlie Kirk didn't he just crash out on Bill Ackman? Would you like to know where this narrative originated? The narrative that Charlie Kirk was killed by Israel originated in the gray zone with Max Blumenthal. Max Blumenthal is a Jew. Max Blumenthal used to work for the SPLC, the Huffington Post, Slate, the most far-left publications that are out there. And you think this guy...
Did this guy tie it back to the Jews again? So now we have Israel, a Jew blaming Israel to throw you off so that it's the ultimate psyop. Just what I thought Nick Fuentes was not going to blame it on them. He found a way to blame it on them. This is original. This is great stuff.
Criticizes Israel. He was out there doing hit pieces against David Irving, the Holocaust, the World War II historian that happens to be a Holocaust revisionist for the SPLC. He's a radical leftist. He's a socialist. And Max Blumenthal is the one who initially promulgated the false narrative in the gray zone that Charlie Kirk might have been killed by Israel. Max Blumenthal made up the story that Bill Ackman crashed out on Charlie Kirk.
Okay. So then this story that everybody, started questioning, not because Trump had basically gone to war and said that Epstein was a psyop, a Democratic psyop, I guess in itself. Yeah, that's not why we started. We didn't use our brain, start to distrust what we're being told in the Trump administration. No, it was Bill Ackman. It was these guys that put it on the gray zone that ended up in our front. No, bro. Are you not understanding? We're already asking questions. Everybody is psyopping everybody. This is exactly what's happening here. This is an information war. And I want to show you guys something, because I know that if you're watching, let's say like the trial that just started, you're probably going like, well, I'm not going to watch. It's just a preliminary hearing, or I'm not going to watch that trial at all. I want to tell you guys something, that I've been watching certain things in the trial and I just have questions. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm saying a certain person did do it or didn't do it. I'm simply asking questions. And so I want to point something out that I find really, really interesting, right? But I also want to tell you that there also is some real damning evidence that came out today in the preliminary hearing. This is going to trial. It's obvious. There's no way it's not going to go to trial. But the judge looked at some evidence today, and I want to show you guys something. This is what I heard yesterday, and I find this interesting. And this is how we should probably be assessing this case. A law enforcement officer, this man on the stand here, is about to tell us that for whatever reason, he was sweeping the grounds. He found an empty holster in the lower part of where the audience was. They were standing out in that open area where it's like, the different steps. It's like an amphitheater kind of feel. And he's gone down the steps after the commotion, and he's trying to clear it out to secure the area there around where Charlie's body, his body was taken off, and he wants to secure it as a crime scene. But I want you to pay attention to something that he says.
What you were seeing. What did you observe?
On that day, I observed Charlie going back, doing some meet and greet with some people, getting some photos taken. He then came underneath the hall flags and went to his tent, and he was there answering questions and talking to individuals that would ask him questions.
The tent you're referring to, is that the tent that we see when it was set up in the courtyard?
Yeah, that white square tent.
The white top?
Yes, he was under that.
Fast forward to about 12:20 or so a little bit after noon, the noon hour. What happened? What did you see? What did you hear?
I heard an individual talking to Charlie, and I happened to kind of glance over the edge of the railing about that time. I could see the right side of Charlie's shoulder, so not his whole body, because he was underneath the tent, so I could only see probably the right side of his body. He was answering a question, kid asked him a question, and then I heard a shot fired.
Do you know what time that was?
Yes.
What time was that?
12:23.
What did you see?
At that moment, I saw him lean to the left, so
When you say him, you see
Charlie.
Charlie?
Kirk. So I saw him go to the left because I could no longer see the right side of his body. So he went further underneath the tent to the north side of the tent, so left.
Okay. Can you describe the reaction of others that were there?
Yeah, so then everybody started getting up and starting to run in more of a chaos kind of situation.
So he's giving his honest assessment as to what he saw that day. As you can hear him, he's trying to best lay out what happened. So he ends up down at the bottom. Now after he sees, and here's the shot, and listen what he says.
Building. There's another level there where a lot of people were standing and watching. So it was pretty packed. Okay. Several thousand people.
You mentioned you heard something. What did you hear again?
I heard a gunshot.
Okay. And can you describe you described Mr. Kirk's reaction? Was that simultaneous to hearing the gunshot?
Yes, it was.
When he fell to the left?
Yes.
Did you see the reaction from the crowd?
Yes.
What was that?
Everybody kind of got up. They all said, a lot of people were screaming, standing up, and starting to run in all different directions away from the center of the tent.
Okay. You're a police officer.
I'm out there so I can help stop an individual that's probably shooting.
What happened next?
By the time I got to the bottom of the stairs, I was informed on the radio that we had a shooter in custody.
You hear that, chat? This is when they said they had a shooter. And if you remember that day, it was like an older guy that they had cuffed, and that he was making essentially claims, oh yeah, this isn't it. He was making Basically, he was shouting out some stuff that made people believe that he was responsible. Right then and there, this is very much an idea that this is not a lone shooter situation. When I started to hear that day that it wasn't the shooter, and I was like, how did that guy have a rifle that close? Because it sounded like a rifle. First time I saw the video right after it happened. I'm like, okay, so there's multiple people involved. This is a conspiracy. How is a crazy dude screaming out, oh, I did it, knew it, so convincing. And then they say, we got the shooter. Do you hear him? He believes that they got the gunman. Doesn't know where, doesn't know how. And this is the strange part.
So I thought at that moment, I was like, oh, that was kind of fast. Obviously, it was close range probably because we had an individual in custody. Another officer came on, said we had an individual in custody. So I decided to, since the threat is gone, now I can assess for anybody that's injured and start looking for any medical needs that's needed at that moment. I started canvassing the area. As I canvassed the area, I was looking for anybody that was injured. I saw a kid on the ground that was on about the second or third tier in the grass next to a wheelchair, and he was almost convulsing. I thought he'd maybe been shot. Talked to the dad as I was running over there. He said that he was just having a seizure, that he was fine, he was not injured. So then at that moment, I observed that there was no other injuries that I could see at that moment.
Okay. Was your attention drawn to anything else at that time?
Yeah, so after we got some people kind of cleared away a little bit, I thought I needed to start preserving the scene because we had a crime scene. And with some of my experience and training to that effect I decided now we need to contain the scene and help preserve as much evidence as we can. So I started pushing people off the grass, out of the courtyard area because I knew that's where the crime scene was. So as we started pushing those guys out, my chief Long, that was right next to me, I looked down and saw an empty pistol holder that was sitting just on top of the grass. And at that moment, things had died down just a split second. I realized that the shot I heard was more of a rifle shot and not a pistol shot.
And what causes you to say that?
Just from being around firearms through all my trainings, the difference is, a handgun is more of a short bang pop sound. With a rifle, you have more of a longer, violent bang or crackle sound. It's more of a violent kind of sound. It's longer, so that's why I recognized it.
Okay. Is a rifle sound louder typically?
Yes.
Okay. Going back to when you heard this gunshot, could you tell where it came from, as far as direction?
Yes, I knew it came from the east of me.
From the east of you.
Yeah.
Okay. So you see this realization comes to your mind. What did you do next?
At that moment when I saw the holster, the empty holster, I turned to my chief and I said, that was a rifle shot. And he said, I agree. And I looked up at that moment, right in the line of sight, I could see the Losi building had a direct line of sight. So I proceeded to go look at that and see what was going on up there.
Chat. This man, and I'm just asking questions. I'd have grilled this dude all day and his friend. This man said that he began looking, saw a holster. So they tended to believe that the shot, remember, because they had somebody in custody. And he put together the same idea. Must have been somebody down here because they got him so quickly. He barely got down the steps and they're already saying we got the shooter in custody. Therefore, it was a close shot, a handgun. He's watching the holster going, all right, we got to hold down this scene. And then it stops. He looks and says, I believe that was a rifle shot. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that that's not possible. But then he proceeds to look up at the building, and at the building, he sees the line of sight. You're looking at the person who stopped there, what he was doing, securing the site, walked a path all the way up to the same stairs that apparently Tyler Robinson did, hopped over the same area because you got to do this little hop thing to get on the roof. It's not easy. It's not just completely open. He gets on the roof and pulls up and then sees the evidence, the screwdriver, and could see where he was. Watch this.
Okay. Can you just briefly describe your route to the Losi Center?
So from the courtyard, you can go into the Sorensen Center, and like I said there earlier, there was on level
Let
one.
me forward it. He's talking about how he got there.
Of the Losi building, which is at that's on the outside of the Losi building.
Okay. That it's a public stairway.
Yeah,
Okay. Did you make it to the rooftop?
I did.
Do you know about what time you got there?
I got it there 12:44.
So 20 minutes after Charlie is done, the greatest investigator in history, who went ahead and said, forget what I was told on the radio, forget me securing the area down here. I'm going to go be detective inside of less than 20 minutes or 20 minutes, and I'm going to go on just a random hunt because there's this building. There's other buildings that are line of sight, by the way. Remember, he said he saw him from the top right, so he doesn't know where he was hit. He hadn't watched the video and seen the shot online and went, wow, he got hit front left. He doesn't know any of that. But he goes, there's a building that's line of sight. There's a bunch of buildings around. But he had this hunch to get to that line of sight. That'd be a nice spot right there. And what does he pull up and find?
Okay. What did you do when you got on top?
When I got on top, I hopped over the guardrail. I noticed that there was an object which was sitting right about 10 or 15 feet in from the other side of the guardrail in the gravel. That looked out of place to me.
What? Yo, chat. If you pulled up on a rooftop, a gravel rooftop, and you're looking around and you see a random tool like a screwdriver, are you going to sit here and go, yep, that's definitely the sniper's nest. We got him. Or would you sit there and go, some maintenance dude dropped literally a screwdriver? He didn't see a gun. He didn't see, a piece of a gun disarmed, a barrel. He saw a screwdriver. And he said, that looked out of place. So look what he does with this hunch.
And in relationship to where you hopped over the guardrail, what direction was that object?
To the west of the guardrail.
Okay. And did you recognize the object?
I did.
And what was it?
It was a red and black screwdriver.
Okay. Did you touch that object?
I did not.
Okay.
A red and black screwdriver. That's what it took for this man to go ahead and then secure this site as evidence. I'm just saying, I'm asking questions, chat. Don't you think that this is a bit much? I'm asking. I mean, that's the greatest of all hunches. You stop what you're doing downstairs, securing the area, and you walk what seems to be several hundred feet away, 4 flights of stairs to get on the roof, and you just got this hunch, this would be the perfect spot to do it from. Do what? They already got him in custody. I don't know. Which way did the shot come? I don't know. I didn't watch any videos. This all happened inside of 18 minutes. I got this gut feeling. Now, I could say, sure, it's possible. I find that very, very, very hard to believe. And I would want to, and I'm sure they're going to question his friend, the guy he looked at with that gut, that spider sense. I think it's one thing to say, I think it's a rifle. And then you do this thing where you look up and you're like, line of sight. There it is. Let's go. Bro, he got there. He was shot. 20 minutes. 20 minutes he was there finding the screwdriver. Chat, come on. Now, let me show you the other side. And this is why I caution you guys to not be slop eaters on both sides. Okay? And what I mean is the Candace Owens, some of the stuff. I understand that there's some things, some information, Candace, she's trying to find out who offed her friend. I understand all that, but I got to call a strike, okay? But they were taking these pictures, these one pictures of supposedly Tyler Robinson walking around. They got one shot of him going up the steps. Well, they went ahead today in court and revealed all of the video. And I'll just keep it a buck. Okay? They have him in his shorts and the same backpack, the same hat. Then he changes to his pants later. And he literally is walking after he comes back from Chick-fil-A, which, by the way, we were told that he left campus. He went to a place. They saw him. They caught him on the parking lot. Other people did, not even the feds. This was leaking online. They're like, what is he doing over there? He left, came back, and now he's dressed in pants in this shot.
The same way that he did previously on foot.
And this is him walking.
And why?
And he's walking with a limp. So he came to the campus, actually visited the tent where Charlie Kirk was, went back into his car, went to Chick-fil-A. They have him on camera, pull him to the parking lot, walking in. They got him there. He apparently changed when he came back to the parking lot of the school and put this on with his jeans. And this is him on video. They're tracking him the whole time.
You believe this is Mr. Robinson returning to campus?
I do, yes.
Okay. And what do you believe is Mr. Robinson?
The shoes are the same, and the images that we have are...
Oh, my fault.
From my viewing and seeing Mr. Robinson on the video, it's the same person.
He's noticeably wearing different clothing.
He is wearing different clothing, and he also is walking with a gait or a limp in this video.
All right, so let me pause there. They have him walking all the way up the steps, the famous step picture. They have him earlier in his shorts in a maroon shirt. And it's the same car that pulls up, the same Dodge Charger. Now, here's where it gets interesting for us that, want to question everything. I get it. You either have to believe that is Tyler Robinson and that apparently he was walking with the limp because he had a gun. And apparently he showed up to the campus. He was there, but he actually didn't pull the trigger. So he's like a classic patsy the way Lee Harvey Oswald was set up. Was in the school depository, but he actually didn't shoot. Some people believe that. Other people believe that he did shoot. He just wasn't the lone shooter. My point is, or you're going to have to believe what it is that now Candace Owens is saying. You know what Candace Owens is saying? Candace Owens is saying, I don't think that that's him. I think that that's somebody else. I think that that's not him because why? Because why? Because it can't be him. It's somebody else. It's a setup. It's somebody pretending to be him. So she begins to point out something. Okay? She begins to point out something. She says, he doesn't look that tall. We know Tyler Robbins is about 5'10", not even 5'11". But the person in the video you guys are looking at, I know it's a little distant, they're saying is he looks to be, and we'll watch him walk up the steps,
limp,
maybe 6'2" to 6'3". Now, I don't know that to be the case. He does look lankier in this video.
Now, what do we see?
But in this famous video of him coming up the steps, doing the limp,
the parking structure,
they're saying that this is not him. Now, that's the story you're going to have to stick to. But I want to be fair. You heard the cop. I seen the video. I'm like, dude, well, that's either him. And if it's not him, then it's somebody else. But then you want to look at everything, right? And now people are pointing this out. This is the video of him walking up the steps. Hold on, let me remove this back. This is him walking up the steps from another angle. Look, see how he's limping up? Because he's got the rifle apparently in his leg, right? His pant leg.
Were you able to track Mr. Robinson when he leaves this parking structure?
But now they're saying is what happened? In the previous video, he's walking up the steps, and what leg is he limping with, chat? In this video that you're looking at right now on the screen, what leg is he limping with? Huh? What leg is he limping with? I'll play it for you right here. Him walking up the steps. Which one is he aiding?
Were you able to track Mr. Robinson?
He's aiding with his right leg, right? And then they point out that when they show the reverse, the video of him walking in the lower area, he's now limping with the rifle being in his left leg pant. So this is something that people point out, or Candace will point out, say beyond parody. Right? So no 30-06 in that leg, right? So these are things that, hey, I'm saying is this is how we need to evaluate this. There's something ain't right. Is it the same guy? Who knows? Then look at things. This is Barron, the guy that was talking. So he could bend his leg. He just didn't bend it most of the time for some unknown reason. See that? Do you see this point? Do you see the point that he's making? Is that he appears to be limping, right? But look at this, chat. I want to point something out. Look at this. This is what Barron showing. I'm going to ask you a question. Does it look like in that pant leg there's any rifle, something that's looking like it's something he's going to like literally struggle with? On the outside, right here, supposedly this is where the rifle is at least passing his knee. We don't know how far down the outside of his like calf or the shin, but they're saying it's here, and it's preventing him from being able to walk correctly because his pant legs, he just won't be able to walk. But look, strangely, he turns to make his move to the steps, and look what happens. He's able to bend that leg.
The images that we have.
Right there. You see it? That right leg, all of a sudden, right there, has a ton of flexibility. He forgot to limp. What happened to the stiff leg limp? Boom. Ooh. What happened here? Do you see it, chat? What are we doing? This just seems like all of a sudden he doesn't need to guide anything. This goes from, all right, guys, remember, you got a rifle in your leg. We got to make it look like that when you show back up. Okay, boom, stiff leg. Got it, chief. Okay, oh, I forget because I walk normally. Bit the leg. Okay, got it. So either this, what was in the right pant leg was just a small piece that made him big time limp in the other videos, or there was nothing there at all, and he was pretending to do this to get the shots. So then all of a sudden you have questions. I'm doing the same thing. Right? Rifle with skinny jeans. Yeah, like this makes sense. I'm just saying. I don't know what to say. But you can see what we're talking about, right? He forgets. He literally forgets. He's doing the stiff leg walk right there. He does it perfectly. And then right here, he's like, oh yeah, let me go ahead and move that leg. Oh, and then let me remember that I have to, because the only way it would move that way, look. See, look at that. Right there. What is that? Bro, you shouldn't be able to do that. If the rifle barrel is past your knee right here, you're not going to be able to do that. It would literally restrict you. You probably would trip and fall if you tried to do that. It would hold you. So that means we're only to believe that it was here and you can't see it on the outside? Who knows? Chat. I'm just saying. We're asking questions. But now, because Andrew Wilson says you're an idiot, you can't ask that question. Because now you're believing Fort Huachuca. You see what they got you? It's all pitted. We're all against each other. But let me show you now where the psyop is going for us. The psyop is going here. And where? It's one Jay Dyer, who retired and got out of his retirement because he couldn't be Ruslan. I told Ruslan he should have taught him a course on how to interview people and actually create a YouTube channel. So he failed doing that. So what does he go back to? The retired guy goes back to the only thing he knows, to call everybody, oh, low tier, and do these videos. So now what are they doing? They got to get the ultimate guy, meaning the guy that's getting the most quote unquote views, the guy that's has bigger platform. And he proceeds to make fun of him like this for, I don't know, it's like 20, 30 minutes straight. This is Jay Dyer came out of retirement to do this again.
Let's hear in a second from Cleve's stream. Do you guys remember the preacher that went viral, the black preacher that went viral saying, I told you to give me $2,000. You gave me $1,200. Get out of my face. Right? The guy that rebuked that woman because she only gave $1,200 and not $2,000 to these disgusting fake black bishop churches. Okay, we're talking literal Bishop Tilda Swinton stuff. All right, the guy I made fun of on Piers Morgan that Trent Horn had to virtue signal about. How dare Jay make fun of this man? Well, he's a grifting fake. He's not a bishop, dude. Even in your own church's teaching is a fake. That's an opportunist, race hustler, fake ass black activist bishop who's not a bishop.
So what does that have to do with God logic? I don't know. Apparently he's going to connect the dots again. These guys are always knocking conspiracies, but they're the greatest ones at putting them together, apparently.
Well, guess what? That's God logic's dad, dude. Not Bishop Tilda Swinton, but
oh, look at that. Oh, he just threw that out. Not the guy. It was, I had it set up. It's exactly like him. It's but not the bishop. Do you see this? So he has you believing that God Logic's dad was asking for the money, and then but not that. It wasn't the bishop. He just does the switcheroo at the end. You see this? Yeah, this This is all he can be at. Those little debate con crap that he does, that's not really where he makes his bread and butter or whatever he's making. He had to retire from that joint real quick to get back to this. This is him. This is the next psyop, to basically say there is no bishops, there are no churches, it's the one true church. If you're following God logic, you're a clown, you're an idiot. He's a grifter, he's not even a real Christian, and goes on to tear him apart and then essentially say, yeah, but it's funny though, because I was on his platform trying to get some of his viewers, and then I got a little implant over there, that little dude Nick over there that's still trying to be on God Logic's good side because he put him on.
Look, he does the same thing. So I'm going to show you God Logic doing charismatic interpretive dance as worship at Bishop Daddy God Logic's church.
And all this while he's sitting next to a pink flamingo with his Miami Vice back set that he refuses to drop. And then he's got Cleave to Antiquity, his little baby son, using the same backdrop, the same colors. But here he is. He's going to go ahead and show you and break down these guys are total clowns.
Woo, God Logic doing it, girl. He doing it. Go, boy. Go, boy. Go, boy. Go, Ava. Go, Ava. Go, Ava. Woo. Woo. Go, boy. Woo. Somebody go. Woo. He got white glove like Michael Jackson. Damn, boy, get on that shit. He getting up on the pews. He walking on the pew. He feeling it. He feeling some type of way right now. Woo! God Logic feeling some type of way. I feeling some type of way right now. I'm about to start preaching right now.
Like, who thinks this is funny? Like, who watches this and thinks that that's him trying to be a black dude or something? Like, who thinks this dude's funny, bro? Yeah, he moves a little funny. But I'm just saying this is what he retired. This is what you're getting. This is Jay Dyer here. Then we're going to show you when he has his revisionist history script in a second, where he tends to talk about why he thinks, oh yeah, Protestantism bad. Yeah. I don't know how I'm going to fix this problem of the degenerate culture and sin and all of this in Western society. I don't know how I'm going to solve it, but I'll tell you what it is. It's, yeah, Protestantism bad.
I'm going to give a sermon right now. I'm God Logic. We'll God Logic.
Like, if you were to go into his church and pretty much just put on the chanting where, the guys get together looking like wizards and they do their chants and stuff, what would they do? They'd be all upset like, oh. But he thinks that this is going to get, I don't know, the views that he lost. Remember, he said he retired. There was nobody to debate, and his whole thing was to get people to come outside and debate, even though the debates that he has, those people already wanted to debate him. Yeah, bro, sing like that, I sing better than that. Come on now. Yeah, like if we pulled up in the Wizard's church, right? You know what I mean? And we started, doing the thing, it was like, well, I don't, what's that incense? What are you burning there? Like, what is this? Would they sit there and go like, oh, yeah. No, they wouldn't. They'd literally lose their minds. How dare you talk about the church like that? And be like, bro, I don't know what we're talking about here. I thought it was a 1-for-1. But this is him. This is Jay Dyer. This is, I guess, supposed to be funny.
Oh, mama. Had a steamy love affair with Larry Sinclair. Oh, mama. That's Henry Manning. God Logic had a steamy affair with Michael Jackson up there.
Like, who's Who's in his chat going, oh, this guy's funny? Like, this is one of those odd cornball dudes that, you know, you'd go to school with or in high school too. And you're like, oh, he's one of the white boys that think he's funny, but he's not. And people just laugh at him and not with him. I don't know what this is, bro. Like, who's watching this? It's not a good impression. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's those weirdo kids. That's what he is. He was one of those weirdo kids. You know what I mean? You guys know what I'm talking about. Well, this is what he retired. This is what he's doing now. And why is he going after God Logic?
Woo! Go, girl. Damn, that boy got some moves right now. Listen, when I go to DebateCon, I'm gonna bust up some moves. I'm gonna outdance Avery. Y'all think Avery can dance? Wait till I show up with my white gloves, son. Wait till an actual BIPOC person challenges that man to a dance off.
So they said, hey, bro, you doing the interview thing, that's not working. That's not moving the needle. Okay? So cut that out and just get back to what you think may work for you. The only reason anyone might listen to you. And this is what they came up with. This is going back to it.
Now, turns out this is Avery's dad, an insane deliverance ministry, tongue talking bishop of the Bishop Church, made up church, Bishop of Avery Church. I'm the first Hierophant bishop of made up black church right here.
Let me bring Pops. Let's bring Pops into work.
In the name of Jesus.
And now, my name is Avery Senior. Give me that money right now. Put it in the oven, please.
And he literally gets a super chat for his performance, but he's talking about somebody else doing it for the money. So this is what he had to do. So he had to go back and do this. Remember, Jay Dyer didn't want to do this. Jay Dyer had ideas of being like a comedian or actor or something.
Then
you can see it. But this is what happened. He went to go do this. Watch this for a minute as he interviews, what's her name? Kat Von D or Elvira, whatever her name is. This is him.
Snob would say.
But that's actually, it's actually good though, because if you watch TV now, it's like nothing but just boomer, like mind control programming.
You're talking about actual television.
Yeah, like television is like just, it's a meta level of dystopian reality if you look at it. If you haven't watched it in a long time, it's like you go to, you're like, whoa, this is crazy. But I'm just saying it's interesting that even before, there seems to have been a kind of sensing that, you know, something is off with this. Something is like media is doing something weird. And I think a lot of people who do media notice that quicker. Yeah.
So what do you guys think, chat? Do you think that he made the right move to go back? Is that interview right there moving you guys? Is that getting you guys to see the levels of his talent? I mean, I'm just asking a question. Because, you know, him going back to his regularly scheduled program, I think was definitely a money decision because I don't know who's going to be watching any of that. But anyways, he continues on for a couple minutes, basically to call this dude God Logic and his family, what do you call them? Basically fools. And he goes on to click on the different videos, which, by the way, Look at this. Chat. Look what you're looking at on your screen. You're not looking at Jay Dyer's opening. That's not Jay Dyer's opening right there. Whose opening is this? It's at the top. Whose opening, whose YouTube live opening background music or opening music or a timer music is this? Huh? Is that Jay Dyer's? No, it's not. Huh? No, it's not Cleve's board. That's his daddy. That's his daddy right here. Cleve's Antiquity copied everything. His format, everything. So Daddy Dyer has his little boy doing this, and now he's reviewing his little boy's stuff now. This is where he's going. And the boomer doesn't know that he's muted. So he's talking right now. I had no idea that he's muted. And you see his mic is red in the corner, and he figures it out because
Black bishops, black players. We got to go to Cleve's clip here. You didn't miss anything. I was just trying to find this Cleve clip. So the church.
So let me forward it to where he gets to. I think it's somewhere around here. Where he basically lays out.
About that's grifting, not making money online, not having a business, not super chats. This is so stupid. Grifting.
So he's going to give us a definition of what grifting is. So grifting was Ruslan trying to make money. But then he got caught, just like Andrew Wilson. They shift it, right? They want to go ask the questions, and I say, let me ask you a question. I don't know nothing now. Also, now you're stupid, right? So then they shift the goalpost. It happened earlier today with some some guy that was an understudy, a partner of Andrew Wilson. He did the same thing today in the Discord. He comes in and asks something personal, and then I give him my personal answer. He says, it's not about you. This is their art of deception. You know, they think that they're slick. They're not smart. You catch them in the act, and you tell them, bro, you just literally asked me personally. Now you want to switch the question because I just showed you how you were wrong in your assertion, so you switch the question. This is the same thing. So Ruslan was a grifter because all he wants to do is make money. That's what the accusation there. Then the accusation changed that you're a grifter if you don't want to debate the one true church. That's how this all started. But look what happens. He explains to us what he really means by grifter.
The Calvinist church. There is no such thing as a churchless apologist. It's so insane. It's such an Americanized, abstracted grift. Grifting is not making money. Grifting is when you're a con man or money is the only thing you care about. That's grifting. Not making money online, not having a business, not super chats. This is so stupid.
So then by definition, you accused him of only wanting to make money. But at the same time, you're caught only wanting to do lives to make money because the super chats weren't coming in. That's the point. But do you see it? Now he's shifting the goalpost. He's changing the parameters. This is what they do.
So he's very famous pastor from Tyler Perry's House of Pain. This guy actually has a lot of different connections with Tyler Perry. Now notice this was the guy that God Logic's dad.
And so what's the first thing that they do? They talk about people. They talk about people using sources and AI. And look at this guy.
He's very famous pastor from Tyler Perry's House of Pain. This guy actually has a lot of different connections with Tyler Perry. And
look what he does. First thing he does is his AI overview. This is exactly what Dyer and Wilson will talk about, and then he'll just be pulling up his sources. Now, this seems to be Jay Dyer accidentally clicking or sharing his screen because he's about to talk about this SSPX, but he's getting certain things. The point is these guys are constantly saying that you get your sources or Google AI. They're using the same crap. They're sitting here whining and complaining about churches, and they found that we got to move on from David Wood because I think David Wood has finally, said, I'm going to be quiet until we debate. So let's get at some people that got views.
Significant. Well, it draws some connections, some pretty major connections with this organization that God Logic's father is a part of. He's not just some random charismatic pastor. He's a charismatic pastor with pastors that are affiliated with Tyler Perry, as well as several mega church groups. We're talking serious money here. Now, he was associated.
Oh, wow. Now who's in the game of conspiracies. We had Andrew Wilson, Act Blue. The Democrats are funding Candace Owens. And now Tyler Perry is funding and running God Logic. This is what you get, bro. Do you see the hypocrisy? You see the log in your eye? You see this guy calling Ruslan a grifter? And it's not because of the money, it's because of the intent. What's your intent? You shouldn't do conspiracies. All they're doing is conspiracies all day.
With this scandal, this was Pastor Marvin Winans got upset at a church member for only donating $1,200 when he asked for $2,000.
And this is the clip you guys probably saw that went viral.
Yeah, so now he's showing a clip that has nothing to do with God Logic in his church, and then later says, yeah, that was another church. You see? So this is the play. So let me wrap up to play a little bit about where the EO Psyop, which, by the way, we disrupted it, and that's why they're upset. That's why you would wonder why they would care about a couple thousand views, if that, on YouTube. Why they would care to answer me or JP in the height of it, why they would care at all to say anything. It's because they were trying to shut up anybody who wasn't shutting up when they were talking like this. This is Jay Dyer with his polished view of history, and him going for the last 30 years from becoming an evangelical to a Calvinist to a Catholic to a Tradcath to a set of a contest to a Kabbalah to an EO. So now he's got it figured out. After all those years, all of those government political systems, he was a libertarian, he was a conservative, he was a Republican, a neocon, all of these things. Now he's got it figured out, everybody. Don't you worry. He's got it all figured out now. Don't you guys worry. He's got it all figured out now. He had to read a couple thousand books, according to him, right? A couple thousand books he had to read. Now he's got it figured out, and he's going to tell you how it all works. Because he knows history. Here we go. Jay Dyer's summation of the West.
There's a famous Russian philosopher and statesman named Pabanatsev, and he wrote a book about the role of church and state. And he was writing right around the time of the assassination of the Tsar by the Bolsheviks, and he pointed out that the message that is always given by people who want the Iraq.
This is him on Alex Jones, by the way, with his pink flamingo.
Eradication of any relationship of church and state or anything for God to do with society in general is that it's based around freedom. However, what ends up happening isn't that you actually get freedom. You actually get the state becoming a new de facto church. The state then becomes the determiner and the arbiter of life and death. The state decides all these key issues without any firewalls or checks or any other competing firewalls or division of power, so to speak, right? And I think the idea behind the American government structure was, of course, divisions of power in as many ways as possible. And I definitely believe in that kind of decentralization to a degree. But the problem is that...
So he agrees with the founders in the separation of powers and decentralization. Oh, wow, great. He agrees with that. But now, after his many years of wisdom and his reading of different books, which, by the way, he would be able to know, just like he knows which church fathers and which others are wrong, which ones would actually be propaganda or which one would not be propaganda, pointing him to a possible political solution that in the end is undermining as the underpinning of some grand conspiracy to get him to believe that. He's going to know because it's been 30 years of him hopping around from religions and political views that now he's got it right. Yeah, this is the guy. He knows everything.
In the radical religion of equalitarianism and egalitarianism that has been adopted today, it assumes that everybody is an interchangeable economic unit. If you watch the Sam Hyde show, the first episode, Dear Elon, was dealing with that. I contributed to that one. And the most recent one, as you guys have been seeing the clips today, also speaks to this with this idea that everybody can just be kind of integrated into some globo blob of the same culture, the same religion, the same whatever.
Wait a minute. The way you're trying to do it with Eastern Orthodoxy, where you want us to adopt the old yet developing pews, background, form of worship that you claim is even prior to that, even though it was developed. The same form, everybody uniform. That's interesting. Seem to be having a problem with it in your analysis here.
Without retaining their unique, distinctive qualities or recognizing disparities. It's not wrong, or you're not bad for recognizing things that are real and that are factual. I went to Jamestown a few weeks ago after speaking in DC at an event at the Ludwell conference, and I'd never been to the museum and visited the, Jamestown before. And if I recall, it is a Rockefeller funded big complex. So I'm not surprised at all the woke stuff, but the majority of the exhibit of the museum is actually really a testament to the worship of new gods of civic equality and blackness, which has really nothing to do with people fleeing from England to try to create the Jamestown colony. It's just weird, right? In other words, the whole apologetic of the place was anti-colonialism. But if you really study history, and I have a history degree, you'll notice actually from a lib college, I was taught history by the most ridiculous libs, and it actually made me helped make me not lib, to study history and understand.
So now he has a lib college background. That's where he got his degree. I'm trying to figure out who the real Jay Dyer is. Is he a comedian? Is he an actor? Is he an academic? Is he a historian? Is he a theologian? Is he an apologist? Is he a husband, father? Is he a father? I don't know if he's a father. What is he? Is he all the above? Well, this dude's amazing because he has all the answers.
That we have the idea that Christian nations and empires were evil. Well, they were not near as evil as everything else going on. And Christianity helped to try to temper and to change civilization and brought a lot of actually civilizing elements to many, many degenerate cultures. For example, Aztecs, Mayans, and others sacrificing tens of thousands of people on high holy days. I think Catholicism, at least Spanish Catholicism in those centuries, maybe not Catholicism now, but Spanish Catholicism back in those centuries was way better than that kind of hideous demonic practice. And now people are wanting to return to some kind of hideous demonic type of practice like that. That's what we see with the outbursts of these physically disgusting people reflecting what's on the inside. It's not an infallible rule that the external reflects the interior, but in many cases and many times it does. For example, one of the vices is gluttony. If you have a problem with gluttony, that will be shown in the exterior, that will be significantly overweight. Please don't be a midwit and try to correct me about how some people have thyroid problems. I'm aware of that. I'm speaking in generalities, so you don't need to bring in the exception to the rule to try to sound smart.
He's already dealing with the objection.
Intelligent people should be able to speak in generalities without having to qualify and define every single term.
Yeah, remember that same respect, bro, when you speak to people.
Now, if you have a problem with gluttony, then it's probably going to be reflected in the exterior. We've all seen the mugshots of people in these radical leftist groups, and they look like demons. They look like goblins. Are you surprised?
Now, I will agree with them. They do. I mean, there's outward appearances, of course, but there's also outward actions that are being exhibited by these ortho bros. So look at him, calm, cool, and collected, right? He's trying to explain his position, but ironically, what he's doing is he's going against his own movement that he heads. Because even the wild ortho bros that pull up here running their mouths that don't want to pull up to debate will cuss out your mama. You'd ask them what their spiritual life is like, what their life is like, and most of them, because I deal with them, the ortho bros, are exhibiting what he's saying. It's an outward fruit, a product of what they're either abusing or they're not taking in.
But in many cases, the vices tend to manifest even in a physical and physiognomy type of way. It's not accidental, for example, that many leftists and social revolutionaries in history have been physically ugly, demented, and deformed and outcast individuals. I did an interview a while back with an English historian, Dr. Ed Dutton, and maybe he's an English psychologist. I forget exactly what his degree is, but he was pointing out how the history of witchcraft in Europe evidences a long history of very hideous, ugly women being the witches who then have a resentment against the rest of society because they are unattractive, and thus they become kind of parasitical on the society and they resent it.
So Jay Dyer goes on to connect these things, but what he does early on in this video is talks about the Charlie Kirk event, which was, of course, this was shortly after.
To have victory against the Islamic hordes. The idea that that's unchristian is rather a rebuke against today's cuckianity. So if you have a problem with that, the problem isn't the church 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900 years ago. The problem is with you. The problem is that you have a false idea of what Christianity is.
There you go. He calls it cuckianity. So your problem is you're bending the knee, you evangelicals, you Protestants, those that are running, and you essentially are disparaging the medieval church, which was not, I guess, the Dark Ages. You know, there's an argument that people place that's what it was called, not because of the status of society, but just because some lib or some philosopher wanted to call it the Dark Ages to show how bad it was prior to the Enlightenment. And it's this whole conspiracy on how you name parts and fragments of history. But anyways, Jay is telling us you don't even know what Christianity is, and that's your problem. So you created a nation where people can then make up Christianity, but it's only Eastern Orthodoxy.
Definitely Christianity is first and foremost the kingdom of God, which deals with the spiritual life of the church. I believe that's the Orthodox Church. That's the only existing true church. Doesn't mean that there's not grace for people that aren't aware of that or outside of that, but that's really the only church that existed in the first 1,000 years. And it's the only church that's going to continue to exist until the end of the world in the same manner, pattern, and structure that existed in the first 1,000 years. If we're identical to that, that's a pretty strong argument that we're that church. Now, that doesn't mean that we get to be prideful and pharisaical, because there's great...
Wait, what? You don't get to be prideful and pharisaical? Isn't that exactly the Ortho Bro movement? You see the two-face here? This guy was the guy going, oh, Avery, doing all these things against God logic, making fun of black churches, doing his voice. But now he's sitting here going, but that doesn't mean that we get to be arrogant or pharisaical in our judgments towards others. So who's the real Jay Dyer? That's what I want to know. Who is he? I want to know who he is. What is this guy?
Grace for everybody. But when it comes to the notion of the state, many people misunderstand when they hear about something like Christian nationalism. You see people like Doug Wilson
there
talking
it is. There's your buzzword, Christian nationalism.
About Christian nationalism. And a lot of these ideas sound good, but you can't have Christian nationalism without a church. And in the first 1,000 years of Christianity, every nation state that converted and king that converted or emperor that converted, they weren't 1,000 different faiths. They didn't hold their kingdom together with thousands of different sects.
Well, literally, this nation for 250 years has done that. Not even 1,000. So you see where this is going. I tried to tell you guys that eventually what's going to end up happening is they think that they're going to be able to, change history, romanticize history, come to the point where they're telling you you're being psyopped right now, when indeed this is the psyop. Oh, it's that time again where, of course, we see the light. Go to the light. The light is here. But what is he ultimately trying to say? This is their united effort to be able to say, hey, you guys are good because you're kind of Christian, but you're stupid because you actually have the wrong faith. Oh, and the founders of the country, which we know sprouted from the reformers, which prior to that, the thinkers of, God, duties, and rights, the gifts from God, all of this stuff that they came up with, they actually didn't. We have the proper formula. So we're going to come here and we're going to fix it. And it's Eastern Orthodoxy being the main church, bunch of pipe dreams, bro, that these guys got. But that's what they're trying to do. And they're trying to do it in a way where they could just shut down any conversation or any real debate by just simply pointing out you got a booger in your nose. That's it. But then you go to ask them, how do you make this claim? And then ultimately, in the end, this guy right here is going to tell you, with all the brilliance, and I ask him, how do you know this to be the case? You know what he's going to say? The Holy Spirit told me. That's literally what he's going to say. All of this stuff, man, you guys should have figured this out. And I'm glad we had to do it the quote unquote hard way. Will the real Jay Dyer please stand up? Because I don't know who this dude is. This is not the guy that was just doing this is horrible impressions of a black church. I don't know what that was. This is what you got to deal with. They're smart enough to understand can be saved. That's correct. And if you're 130 IQ apparently or higher, then you would automatically come to know the church. Not because of your IQ, though, remember, because he says the Holy Spirit told him. So this is the plot, chat. Not surprised, not, shocked, but I'm shocked that it worked for a while, that it had Christian brothers and sisters throughout the internet actually second guessing when people were coming up to him saying, how do you know Matthew wrote Matthew? Right? And here we are. Now they want to offer this new system. He goes on to later say in this video, I don't know what the solutions are to these problems. Oh, you think? Yeah, because in 5 years, when you read another quote unquote 1,000 books, you're going to be something else. You're going to be a Buddhist, and you're going to say you're going to have a different religion, a different idea. It's exactly what this is. Is it not clear that the exact people you're not supposed to listen to is those that get tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine, every philosophy? And this is what you're seeing with these people. One in Jay Dyer, who seems to be over the last 25 years so confused that every 5 years he switches up what he believes and thinks completely. And then you got another guy that for every $5 bill, Andrew Wilson switches up what he believes. 5 years, $5 bill. And this is going to be the movement to take over and trick and psyop us evangelicals into believing this garbage? I don't think so. And I think if we're getting together and understanding that that doesn't have to happen, and this isn't the trajectory for us, but we need to clean this up and assess. So my overall assessment here is we're not going to fall for any more trickery, whether it be these people that are trying to drum up a political movement, a movement to get more people to EO and they can't even decide what they believe. Right? And in the meantime, they're making fun of Hispanics, blacks, and they think they're funny. But as soon as you tell them something, oh, Mahler forced me into a conversation. These are not it. These ain't the people. So if you're spending any time, or you did at one point, because I know you did. At one point, you were watching Andrew Wilson. I know it because they used to tell me, what do you think about Andrew Wilson? Yeah, I don't think anything about him. I don't watch him. I think he's ridiculous. I think he's a horrible debater, and I'd never recommend him. What do you think about Jay Dyer? I think he's confused after I found out what he said about the Holy Spirit telling him that the church is the one, or, this is the one true church. But he's been arguing for years how it's intellectually brought to him, and how the preposterous position of any other church, that's what brought him to it. That's a lie. Guy's been all over the place. He pulled up to the church and swapped churches within a couple months of being there. If this is who you're watching to lead you, then I hope through this whole process you've learned. You need to pick better leaders, better people that you're watching, because this ain't it. So chat, we'll continue to expose this. I have potentially some more lives due on what I've been hearing from the background. And that is from people in the discords and in the camps of Jay Dyer and of Andrew Wilson. And I'm not saying it's going to be anything new that's going to move or rock, but we just have to have our feet on the ground, a proper foundation, which you know is the Lord Jesus Christ. And he's the one that guides us to understand that when a person, as the great quote said, I don't know who said this quote, chat, somebody look it up. This quote, look up this quote. When somebody tells you who they are, believe them. I'll say it again. When somebody tells you or shows you who they are, believe them. No better advice, practical advice can you receive than that. When you ever get that feeling of like, wow, I couldn't do that, then you're talking to a person that could, will, and has. And if that is a reason for you to go, yeah, I don't think that I should be talking to this person, but you go, yeah, but maybe I'll just go ahead and ignore my gut, ignore the Holy Spirit that's telling me I need to stay away from such a person, stop watching such a person, stop listening to such a person, and you ignore that, then you're on your own. But this is exactly what's happening. We're now in a world where people are showing you who you are, or who they are, and you as a person need to either receive, reject it, but you need to evaluate. So as the Charlie Kirk trial moves forward, I don't know in the end who this guy is. I don't know what happened, but I'll be watching the evidence because I'd like to see how many weird twists and turns this is going to take. From a cop who was told we have the shooter, but he goes, no, you don't. Look, line of sight. And he picks a spot to go look. That's strange to me. Or then you also have this guy who's apparently pulling up, walking with a limp. He seems to be looking like the guy that's sitting there, but other people are going, is he really limping? All strange, man. And I don't have to believe Fort Huachuca, and I don't have to believe Andrew Wilson straight up Fed hanging out with who's the head of the Fed now? I mean the FBI? You know, the Indian dude. Anyways, don't let people push you to extremes. It's not one versus the other. It's not I'm mad at you, so therefore I curse you. No, all of these things can be true. I could agree with this point, disagree with that. Agree with this, disagree with that. Why? Because I'm a Christian. And that's what the Lord tells me to do, to evaluate. The spiritual man judges all things, and guided by the Spirit, this is what you need to do. And for you guys listening to talking heads like this, I'm telling you, if you were to come to the Truth Cartel, which I encourage you to do, you'd get cooked in 2 seconds. But anyways, the world is going crazy and it looks wild, but I don't care what tomorrow brings, because you know I will indeed serve the King.
The Truth Cartel, trafficking truth to the world.